Chris is like, I don't have anything. All right, and welcome to the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast, episode 121. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me tonight, as usual, Chris.
Hello.
And Steven.
I made it.
Rachel's not here. She's off doing Rachel things. So normally we jump into what we're doing, but I'm going to jump a little bit ahead into our news to go ahead and talk about this. But, you know, as many have already heard and are well aware of this because this has taken place days afterwards. But on March 1st, at the age of 68, Akira Toriyama passed away. Sadly, you know, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, also known for the art style and help design for Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, Blue Dragon, you know, so many other games as Steven was dancing about with. But yeah, it was a subdermal hematoma, which I guess, according to my wife, I guess he must have either fallen or hit something. It's like a blood clot, and that kind of went.
He basically got something similar to what Bob Saget went through when he hit his head just way, way too hard.
Yeah, so a lot of people are kind of coming out, and a lot of people are finally realizing how much of an effect this guy's had on everything from gaming to animation to manga and comics and all these things for decades now. I mean, even simple things like, Steven, if you look behind you on the video version, you can see one of his more famous creations of just the little blue blob. Like,
the Dragon Quest slime.
Yes, the
and
slime
Yuji
guy.
Horii did not like that design. He wanted it to be more menacing, and he's like, no, I'm going to make the most popular and hardest character to kill in the game the cutest.
Yeah, and it's become almost a signature. I think one of the guys actually ended up including it in his signature afterwards, I saw. It also became one of the weirdest PlayStation 2 controllers I've ever seen. I would love to get a hold of one of those. I'm sure those are going to be ridiculous. Steven, I swear to God, if you go get that right now. Damn it, man.
Steve will be right back, folks.
Jesus, this is why I need to get all of my shit back out. Everything's like packed away and I can't get to everything. And
I'm cute, and I'm a controller, too.
oh my God. Well, that is impressive. All right. I'm going to stop saying he shouldn't go get it because Steven will just walk off and find it.
I do not have the Switch one, though.
Shocking.
They're impossible to use.
Because I already had one, and I'm like...
Yeah. They're sometimes those weird controllers are a lot of fun. I do love the fact they had a set, I think it was from Horii that did the set of where it had the slime artwork on it, like a silver setup with the controller grip. But if you take the analog stick and kind of tilt it back, a little slime head is on the curved part inside. Like you see his face on there, and I was like, okay, that's adorable.
But
Very nice attention to detail.
Speaking of that, if you kind of look at people have been sharing this, you look at his monster designs, his incredible monster designs, kind of influence what Pokemon characters look like. Different ones too, as well as if you look at his anime Dr. Slump, is it? You'll see all the references or influences that created how Mario runs in Super Mario 3 to where he runs now, even to just even Sonic's intro. Same way with the little circle ribbons. It's everywhere. It's, you know,
not to mention Supersonic, or most of the Sonic lore would not exist without Dragon Ball Z.
You know, his attention to detail with robots and monsters was just, you know, it's so simple, but it just stayed with you.
It's iconic.
It was such an iconic setup that every time you would see a piece of artwork from him, you'd be like, oh, I know where that's from. Or it's either really close, you can tell where it was, you know, where they got it from. But that was like, I remember when Blue Dragon was coming out on 360, that was a big draw. It's like, oh, dude, the guy that did, you know, Dragon Ball is doing the art for this. Like, I know what all these characters, the way they're designed. Which made it a lot of fun. And of course, it's a huge thing with a lot of Dragon Quest. So the more that's become, like was it Dragon Quest 11 was the last one on Switch, that
I hope we saw 12 to completion at least.
I hope
really
so.
Do.
But like 11 it got to the point of, you know, basically being his drawings walking around, like everything looked so good. I bet he loved that. I mean, I really hope so.
Yeah, and
he
he was
see.
in the middle of, a handful of projects. So I can only imagine like what we lost out on just seeing more of his genius kind of just come out in terms of these games. Because like I can't imagine the Dragon Quest looking any different.
Yeah, it's the same thing as if you made Chrono Trigger with somebody else's art style. It would not be the same game.
Yeah. It definitely would have to be kind of a main setup for that. And I'm curious how that's going to go from here on out.
Yeah.
If they're going to try and mimic his art style or if they're going to try and change it. Seems almost wrong. It could go either way.
The Square Enix at one point were asking a lot of surveys about Chrono Trigger, like, would you like to see it again? And the consensus was just give it to us. We don't want a remake. We don't even really need a remaster. All we need is just the base game released again.
I'd like an up-res version of the DS port, because the DS port to me was the definitive version of it. Because it had, all the stuff from the original Super Nintendo release. You had all the beautiful animation they did for the PlayStation, but it didn't have the loading time problem from PlayStation. The voice acting was there. You could change the interface, but all the art was, you can move everything out and just see the artwork even better. Yeah, I think if they just released that, people would eat that up without a problem. So, yeah, that's I hate starting off the show with sad news, but this was too big to do anything else first.
Yeah, we basically lost a legend in the gaming, manga, anime, like all the mediums out there.
Yeah,
he was up there with Osamu Tezuka in terms of just influence on media. So,
I mean, we're still seeing massive amounts of influence now, and I'm curious how far into our lives we're going to continue to see that influence. So
yeah, you're seeing people doing Spirit Bomb, like the pose memorials on all the online games. You're seeing people, even in Final Fantasy 14, they did a tribute where everybody dressed in their best Dragon Ball garb that they could find and put together.
yeah,
and they had a kind of like memorial there. So
they were wearing like the Slime King hats, and like they had actual crossovers in the game, so people were wearing all that too.
So it was touching to see, because you could see what kind of impact he left.
So yeah, I mean, way too soon. I know 68 for some people is not that young, but in reality, you still have some life left. Like that's still some time going. So we'll have to see where that goes. So yeah, sorry again for the kind of sad news to start the show, but I felt we needed to kind of go right into that, and now we can continue with the rest of the show and kind of move on from there. So now we're moving back into what we've been doing, and Stephen, we'll start off with you this time. What you been up to?
Well, do not take this as I'm playing anything Warhammer related or loving Warhammer. But Chris and I started the Power Wash Simulator 40K, which started out really well. You got to clean some like different of their like weapons and such, and like some other vehicle and a tank that looked like it came right out of Metal Slug. And now we're cleaning mechs. And there's so many in jokes. I was just like, if I really played Warhammer, we would probably be rolling on the floor. Otherwise, we're just reading the text and be like, okay, all right.
Yeah, at least the other homages gave just enough information for someone who's never played to kindly get the idea. But with Warhammer, if you don't know what they're talking about, you're lost.
Yeah, good luck.
But after that, after he got too tired to wash, I did switch over to Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun, which is basically like a boomer shooter. It's kind of like a Doom / Quake reskin, but with enough added that it's its own little beast. Every time you jump, you slam down on the ground hard, which is funny. There's a taunt button, so you can just yell like, for the Liberty and stuff like that.
For the Imperium.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
That kind of 40K-ness. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It did freeze a couple times, but it didn't crash. So
really,
the game moves pretty fast for what it is. Then I I heard about and then got to experience some of the new update for Helldivers 2.
Yes, you and I went through those.
I understand because Arrowhead had kind of sleeper success with the first one, so in the second one, this is new to them to be in a third-person, first-person shooter realm of updates. So one thing they wanted to try to do is they wanted to see, can we get people to try the other weapons? So while the breaker, which is like your shotgun and such, went down, now people are using the flamethrower and the laser cannon more. So you're getting a different feel for the game. They're adding new stuff in, unlike other campaigns where you just play through it and then on the exact day they unlock something. They literally said, if enough players get into this planet that houses the mech suit manufacturing company, everybody can use mechs. So people swarmed that planet, took it over, and they said, wow, you did it in a day, so we're going to give you the mechs. And I was just like, for them to like, for Joel, the game masters, to be watching and saying, as soon as that planet's taken over, I'm going to unleash the mechs to everybody. I thought that was really cool because usually you have like a set date for these things and they kind of they want to make a roadmap, but these guys are doing a lot of things on the fly. So
I think they even
already
said,
heard the feedback from the weapons and even the enemies, and they said, we're constantly changing stuff even when we're not telling you, so you're just going to see things change, and I hope you enjoy it, which is refreshing. They've been doing a lot of things that you're not used to seeing in terms of just how they listen to the fans and how quickly these updates get done. There's just
they were talking about
a bigger accomplishment.
Yeah, they were talking about they got it. Everybody got it done. They thought it would take like 4 days, so it took one. They're like, "Okay, y'all need to slow down."
So that was neat. And then lastly, out of nowhere, while I was just out running errands, they're like, "Hey, by the way, Princess Peach demo's out." And I was like, "Excuse me?" So
if all of you heard a yell, that would be Jennifer finding out.
I rushed home. I downloaded it. I immediately played it. I'm not in either camp right now on the discourse about her, but I'm right in the middle. I'll embrace. It's still the same voice actress, so I will embrace her lower register because this time it's not Bowser drooling down her neck. It's just some lady made out of sour grapes, just trying to like take over and make it all hers. So she's just, it comes out lower. She's not trying to be a high pitched at least 100% of the time. She has her little, yeah, I got it type things in there, but I was like, she's probably busy also voicing Toad, which she does. So I was like, give her a break. If she burns out, we're going to get a different voice actress, and we don't want that.
That could be hit or miss. We don't know how it's going to go.
Well, my interpretation of that was, since she's taking on different roles, she's also doing different accents, pitch, and just basically acting as Princess Peach in all of these other roles. So she's not going to sound the same.
She's a person playing a princess, playing other people.
I still don't buy that because it sounds different before she joins a play. So it is what it is. However, the attention to detail in this game, I originally heard the impression saying this game was very easy. No. It is easy if you want to play through it and enjoy it, but if you want to complete it, there are these badges in there that you can miss because you have to interact with everything. You have to hit stuff you wouldn't dream of hitting. You just have to go differently, or you have to really, really kill the mini games. I failed the mini games twice, and I was like, I thought this game was supposed to be easy because I didn't get all the sparkle badges. And then I'm learning little touches. You can slide down the banister. She's got a different idle animation for every costume, like a dance, and it's not just your normal idle animation. It's a dance. She dances in every different costume, and I was like, and there's how many more? And I can happily say that each costume plays like a totally different game. So as soon as you get used to like one being a beat 'em up, it goes and suddenly you're playing Cooking Mama, and I was like, holy cow!
I haven't had a chance to play it, but I will say the main point of what Jennifer has been playing it, and she has absolutely ranted and raved about it. Like, she finished the demo, she's going back and playing it again. She absolutely enjoys it, so that's all that mattered to me. I'm like, I'm still gonna get the game regardless, but I'm glad that she is happy with it, because it's, you know, this is as much a game for her as it is for Steven.
Yeah. Yes, I have 2 copies on the way. One
Nice.
of them one of them I had to pre-order from Walmart because you get Princess Peach hair ties, and I was like, I need those. I'm not going to use them because I don't have that.
I'm about to say, you and I both. Chris is going to steal them. Let's just say that.
I'll put them on my cat's tails for like a photo shoot, and that's it.
Stick them on your beard. You got plenty.
Just let it grow out some more. Oh, that's funny. All right. Chris, what about you? What have you been up to?
I also tried a bunch of Switch demos, including the Princess Peach one. It was very fun.
Nice.
I also tried the, what was it called? Unicorn Overlord demo. And I've said this before. I love Vanillaware, but I hate every single one of their games. I don't know what it is. Odin Sphere, Grimoire, all those other games, they're absolutely beautiful. Some of the most wonderful 2D video game art I have ever seen in my life. But I hate the gameplay. And it always kills me because I want to support this company. Ugh, but
so they're not so much a game developer to you as a source of nice art books.
Yeah, but I do still want to play the games. I want to at least try them.
I hope they bring
beautiful.
I hope they bring Dragon's Crown to the Switch before it switches over.
That would be a good one.
What is it out
actually.
for now? Is it out for what? Like PlayStation at least?
Dragon's
That's it.
Crown?
PlayStation.
Yeah, it was just for PlayStation systems. Because it was what? That was that the one they released on Vita as well as?
Yeah.
Might have.
Because I know one of their earlier ones also came to the Wii.
But I think now it's 13 Sentinels, Unicorn Overlord,
mm-hmm.
Grim Grimoire. Did they get Odin Sphere on Switch?
I think.
I don't think they did.
I don't think Odin Sphere made it.
There was not a sequel, but a remake.
Yeah, because originally came out for PS2 and now it's PS4, but that was it. It didn't come out for Switch. But still, I'll take more Vanillaware games on Switch, please.
What about Muramasa?
Muramasa was the one that was on the Wii. I remember that one. I think that one did get ported again later. I think maybe it was on PS4.
It's either PS4 or Vita again.
Yeah, Muramasa is the one I usually remember.
So yeah, these games are amazing, but I can't play them. But I still want to. A game that I have been playing is Splatoon Side Order because I enjoy roguelites, and it's a lot more challenging than the main game, but it's not as challenging as Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. So it looks like they've found a good middle ground between interesting and challenging, which is good.
I keep forgetting that one's available. I need to go back and play that one.
It's fun. And aside from that, let's see. I've been watching a friend on Twitch play Chrono Trigger again because of the aforementioned thing. If you look up on Chrono Trigger on Steam, it is now filled with heartfelt messages for Akira Toriyama, because of course it is. And I was thinking now, if I want to get the 3DS version of Chrono Trigger, it's going to be impossible, but, could be worth a look.
Hey, if you just get the cartridge, I have extra cases and artwork for it. Whenever GameStop cleared them out, I got a couple of them, so I can get you the book and the case and all that. So if you just get the cart, I can help finish it.
Let's take a look
from you anyway. But anyway,
gladly, I'll send it to you.
But aside from that, that's what I've been doing.
Nice. So I'll jump into what I've been up to, and what I attempted to be up to was trying out Final Fantasy XIV on the Xbox, and that just did not work. Apparently, I have somehow already done the demo for 14 because of my old 11 account that's attached to it. I don't even know when or how.
So that is a thing. If you've played it elsewhere, you can't play it on another console.
Correct. But as we'll talk about later, it's not all doom and gloom. Like, yeah, I don't get to try the free one, but the game comes out on the 21st of March. So I'm just going to pick it up then, just go ahead and get the full version, dive into it, because both my boys are obsessed with this series. I might as well, spending $60 on the full game, it's still going to be time I spend with them. Even if I don't end up playing it beyond much, I'm at least having some fun with it. So whatever, I will give it a go.
There you go.
What I wanted to enjoy that I finally picked up was Mario versus Donkey Kong for the Switch, which plays great. The problem is the day I got it, Jennifer claimed it. So I went to Pensacola with Brent looking for games and managed to get a hold of the Game Boy Advance version of the game. It was done and was playing it on my Game Boy Micro for a while, just going, well, fine, I'll just play it on this little thing. I broke out my Analog Pocket, did the updates, and I've been playing it on that. I did finally get my copy back for Switch, so I've been kind of going back and forth, finishing a level on one and then doing the same level on the other, then going to the next level and then switching back and just kind of going back and forth as a fun experiment.
Is there any difference between the two?
Yes.
A little. There's some art touches and stuff like that, but they're surprisingly close. I know there's later levels that are only on the Switch version that were not in the Game Boy one. The cinematics, they stuck really close to what the still images were from the GBA, but they made them fully animated, which is nice. Charles Martinet is still voicing Mario because they did not record new lines. They kind of just brought over the existing sound.
He's just like, hey, come back over and over again.
All right.
Well, I mean, somebody pointed out, like, during the time of development, this was during like the actors strike and so forth. They may not have been able to record anybody new, and they already had the rights and usage for the originals, and it just carried over. So
I think it worked better. I even loved it that, as Chris will know, they kept DK's like, ugh. So they still kept his grunts from the original Game Boy. Some of the sound effects seemed a little different, like some of them were missing, but I think it's because they were adding a lot new animations, which I'm totally fine with.
Yeah, I mean, the Switch version does feel way better. Like, it is really nice how they did it. I like the differences in the platforms. Not everything is the same designs, but different colors. Like, different colors have different styles of stuff now. So it's great. They're both fun to play, and I wanted to get it because I could have swore I had it, and I guess I had played it on the 3DS because it was one of the ambassador titles. And I have the DS ones and some of the other series for that. So I just
now have you ever played Donkey Kong 94 for Game Boy?
Yes, I have a couple copies of that one because I had to replace the battery in it and do all
that. That is what I can tell people is the best predecessor to Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
It's the progenitor of it, honestly.
Since the moves are essentially the same, you just don't have to get toys. Yeah. And then from there, they just kept expanding that to where they made like a Lemmings clone at one point.
That was the DS ones, yes, because I remember you used the touchscreen. And they even had
like a Wii U. I think it was a Wii U eShop game too. Yep. So there's a lot of Mario versus out there.
There is. It's a fun series. Enjoy it. Of course, I've been playing Helldivers 2 with you, but on the flip side, you had introduced me to one of our fellow Helldiver players who has now become a friend of mine that I play with online named Chase down in New Zealand. And he and I, apparently he told me he has a love for Gears of War. So I have, in 2 sittings, mind you, 2 sittings, he and I have played through the entirety of Gears of War Ultimate Edition on hardcore.
Dear God.
And it was great. So we finally, on the second play, which was last night, we finished Ultimate. We've gotten almost all the achievements. We've gotten almost all the cog tags. Like, we were having a blast. We work very well together. So that's great.
Cool.
So we immediately jumped in. I installed Gears 2, 3, Judgment. I already have 4 and 5 installed. And I helped him fix his Xbox Live for 360 on his Xbox Series X. So now we just went ahead and jumped into Gears 2 and played a few levels of that last night.
When do they go 4-player? Because I said that's when you can give me a call.
I think it was Gears 3 and Judgment, and then it went back to 2-player for 4, and then I think 3 or 4-player for 5.
Yeah, so, 5 I remember was at least 3 because I was just like, I will definitely call dibs on that robot when we get to 5.
It'll be nice, and then I'd like to get everyone together to do some Horde mode. Especially for like Gears 2 and some of the later ones, because that's one of my favorite multiplayer modes. It's why I like Helldivers so much, because you're working with a group to achieve these things and survive. It was more fun to play with random people sometimes, because you were very much less likely to deal with random people being jerks, because it hurt them as much as it hurt you if they did it. Like, oh, they shot each other. That's really funny. Yeah, now you don't have anyone backing you up, and these things are about to literally tear you apart. Have fun. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, we're actually planning on playing the entire Gears series straight through.
Nice.
So I'm excited for that. It's the first time I've got to play these in a long time. We're both really, really wanting a Gears of War collection, like Master Chief collection. Like, come on, like we deserve it at this point.
Nice. Especially how they worked that UI. It was very well done.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say at least like Gears 2 still looks pretty good. Like on the Series X, it runs, and like you can tell there's some muddy textures and things like that, but we went right into it and we're playing just fine. So at least we have that. I finally started Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. They've been renewed for seasons 2 and 3, and told that will be the end of it. So 3 will be the final season for that. So we're only getting 3, but at least they know when it's ending so they can plan accordingly. And I have to say, I love the Avatar series. I have the entire thing on Blu-ray. I remember watching it as it came out. People are really overblowing what they think is bad about this series, because so far, I like it. Like, I had some complaints, like when Aang was flying around, and I'm like, he doesn't fly like Superman. What's going on? Like, where's the ball? They did do the ball later. I think it was like the second or third episode. He finally did the ball, even for just one part, and it hits his face. And I went, okay, he did the ball. We're good. Like, that's what I wanted. He's got his glider, they found Momo, everything's good. And all the stuff people were worried about, some of the characters kind of losing, some of their traits, in regards to how they process that and become different people. They still kind of have it for certain characters, but it's a little more subdued, not so directly in your face, and you're still showing growth. So give it a chance. I actually kind of liked it. I thought they did a good job with it.
It also follows the people have been looking up online. Daniel Day Kim has been in every version of Avatar.
Oh, really?
He's been at least a character in every animated version and the movie and this Netflix special.
Oh, God, that's funny.
So you can find him somewhere. I was like, cool. So he's like, what's his name?
Well, I think I haven't seen him yet. I don't think I've gotten to the episode yet, but the cabbage guy, apparently, I guess he's played by the dude that voiced him, I thought. So that's kind of funny that's at least in there. I'm hoping to finish the season maybe by next week, so we'll see. But I'm at least giving it a chance, and I'm looking forward to the other 2 seasons. Hopefully that'll turn out good. What didn't turn out quite as good, like we got some laughs, but we were like kind of uncomfortable with it. Amanda and I did sit down and finally watch Not Another Teen Movie. Oh man, it's the unrated version, and we're just like, oh okay, now there's boobs everywhere, so many boobs, and her and I were just making so many jokes about it. Hot Tub Time Machine was way funnier, but there was still some good jokes in this movie, but you can tell it was definitely a movie of its time.
Basically every not another blank movie or scary movie or superhero movie, they had a very specific type of comedy that just kept being reused. It's a very spoon feed kind of comedy where you already know what the joke is going to be before they even start the punchline.
Actually, that's what I liked about Another Teen Movie, was I didn't expect that stairs scene. That was hilarious. Because she walks down the stairs, they're playing the There She Goes music, and then suddenly the stairs breaks, everything from the carpet and everything falls down the stairs, some lamps. It's like straight out of Tom and Jerry. And I was like, I didn't expect that, and that was awesome. Just like
what killed me was Molly Ringwald showing up later.
Exactly.
Just going like, are you kidding me? Like, stop. No, he's terrible. Don't do this. Like,
Or the, Not Another Superhero Movie, rest in peace, Leslie Nielsen. And he's just like, how'd you dodge that? I have powers. And he looks at Kevin Hart's character. Do you have powers? And he shoots him in the leg. I was like,
or he shot him in the hand in that one.
the
Yeah.
hand, and he's just like, I was
I
like,
guess
okay,
not.
those you don't expect. Those are good, but yeah, some of the other stuff is just straight out of like, like out of a joke book, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay.
And Not Another Teen Movie was an earlier example of those films, so it is like usually the first one of these, if they do a series of them, tends to be the better one with the better jokes.
The Scary Movie was great.
Scary Movie was hilarious. Some of the later ones did have some good jokes in it, but you could tell it was kind of wearing off. So it's stick to the first one, you'll be good.
Yeah, the one that parodied 300, that was the worst one.
That one was terrible. Yeah, I did not watch that
I
one.
didn't even watch because it was so cringy. I was like, no, never mind.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the news. All right, so first story for today is the Xbox partner preview that happened on March 6th. This, of course, was everyone expecting Microsoft to probably go third party, but no, it was just Microsoft talking about third party games. Calm down. And I'll just go down. We had 14 titles that were shown. Some of these we'll talk about. Some of them we'll just kind of glance over in confusion. But starting off, we had Unknown 9 Awakening, which at first I thought was like an Assassin's Creed. And then there's people like bending time and jumping around. And I couldn't tell if it was a third-party action game or if it was a strategy game. Or
the end reminded me of like Quicksilver or Flash,
where with the time bending,
did stuff and then said "time go," and then everybody's like hitting each other.
I was intrigued and confused. Not a great point for marketing.
Where's the other 8?
Right? Yeah. Which one are we starting on here? Next up was Sleight of Hand. This is a third-person stealth game with touches of magic from Riff Raff Games. And I was intrigued by the design of it. I liked the fact it was like a witch that was doing stuff. It looked really good, but I guess this was just a cinematic, but it didn't say. Go ahead, Steven.
And I'm sorry, maybe you should not put the hook of your game, your big what makes this game different, in your cinematic, because all I had was questions. Like, is this Lost Kingdoms 3 where I use cards to play certain things? I don't know how any of that worked, because that's all it seemed to me is you have a certain deck of cards, you go around stealth, but you can use those cards to lay traps. So what? Now it's Tecmo's Deception? Super confused.
Yeah,
well, it is just a trailer. They're probably going to show gameplay next time.
But this is the problem with these games is just like, I know this is coming right after some other company did a partner show, but the difference was the other one just showed gameplay. This one was just like, this is a concept here. How am I supposed to be excited when a girl's just like, I'm using cards? I'm made by Riff Raff Games. I'm like, come on.
And the funny thing is, and I went back and checked, nowhere in the trailer does it even say like this is cinematics or, gameplay based on this or anything like that. It's just the trailer, which I'm okay with, just an announcement trailer. We get those all the time. That's fine. But maybe be a little clearer about it, because you and I are both like, I want to play it, but I don't know what this is about. Because you're right. I hadn't even thought about, is this just a card game? Like, I don't know.
Because, luckily, as much as Midnight Suns fooled us on what kind of game it was, it turned out to be very well done because of the strength behind it with Firaxis. But you just can't keep getting away with just showing us a cinematic and thinking we're going to love this game.
Which is funny, because speaking of that one, I skipped that game because people were just telling me like, oh, it's just a card strategy game, not like a normal, adventure game. And I was like, okay, so I never played it, and I keep hearing back and forth on it, but they were not clear about it to begin with, which led me to just skip the thing, which might end up happening here, depending on if we don't get better information. Now, this next one, I think, intrigued all of us. This was, I guess, more of the highlight of the show and kind of a surprise, but we had The Alters. This was from 11-Bit Studios, and basically you're playing an astronaut who is stranded on a planet, who finds a lab and a giant wheel, which is a cool design. And I guess you can change the design and layout of this lab as you play, because every time they showed it, it was shaped differently.
Yeah, the inside of it. Vault and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought about. But there's apparently a material on the planet that if you use it, it lets you go back into the timeline of your life and make little alterations, one little change to create a variant of yourself, where they were using examples of like, worked harder to save his marriage, or, didn't finish college, or doing whatever. And those variants can be brought in, and then their life experiences give them different abilities to run different parts of the lab. But then you also have to deal with the personality differences and keeping everybody balanced. I'm kind of intrigued by this one. It's so weird, but I want to play it.
A lot of people, and now I'm going to look up the movie too. A lot of people said if you need to understand this game more, go watch Moon with Sam Rockwell.
Oh yes, Moon is so
good. I don't know exactly what the game is about, because everybody was like, "This is just Moon." I was like, "Is that bad?" Because they were like, "No, it's not."
I would say it's more like Moon with multiplicity.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Moon was not the variant. I don't want to go into too much detail because that is a movie from Sam Rockwell you need to watch, people. It is great. We should do an extra quarter about that because I love that movie. Not enough people watch it. It's a crime. Like, how little people have watched that movie. But Multiplicity, you have the different versions of Michael Keaton's character that were clones, but they were all different takes on the same guy working together. And I think that's the closest mixture you could probably get with it. But it's not just that part of it and trying to build up the lab. You're trying to do that because you have to move, because if the sun reaches you, it kills you. The sun's just too hot.
It's like Sims as well, because you have to see their suggestions. You have to diffuse fights. Sometimes you can just ignore all that. There's just a lot to it.
Yeah, and I like the fact that there seems to be an actual exploration to it as well. You're not just stuck in this lab. You get out, you explore around the world while you can and do stuff. So, yeah, I'm intrigued by this one. We'll see how it goes. No release date or window for it that I saw, sadly. So I guess we're gonna be waiting a while. But yeah, who knows? Next up, we had Creatures of Ava, which this is gonna be Xbox PC exclusive, much to the chagrin of Rachel. She was not happy about this. I think on the Discord, she put the gif of the little kid all getting mad and throwing a tantrum. But
this definitely made Chris perk up, and he can tell you why.
Well, one of the first things you saw in the trailer was, work done by Rihanna Pratchett, which is the daughter of the late Terry Pratchett, one of my favorite authors of all time. So, yeah.
I missed that.
Probably going to have to get that game.
Oh. I know a lot of people were trying to compare it to like Pal World at first because of the art style, or Pokemon, which I love the art style of it.
Yeah, you're like a Pied Piper of dark animals, so it's kind of like Pokemon XD without battles. Well, there is battles. So, okay, so without Pokemon.
I don't know. It looks like a fun world, and I want to see a little bit more about it. I think this was in engine, so like the game itself looks really good. I know some people don't like that smoother animation style, but I think it works well for scaling between different systems.
I think because you're purifying these animals and then they're on your side, they needed something that was bright and colorful too.
Yeah. We don't have a release date for this one either. Just the fact of what it's coming out for. But we'll see. Definitely.
We do have a shadow drop coming up next.
Oh my God, I don't even know why this was here. So what I would consider the worst part of this entire show,
ouch,
and the most confusing, it was a Roblox game. So it's not even Roblox, it's a game somebody made in Roblox, which I have no problem with that. If it's a platform you want to work with, great. But why does it get such a place in the middle of this whole show? But it's something called Griefville X Chucky. And you have all these people that are in the really simple design Roblox characters, and then a very faithfully well-designed Chucky running around that seems so out of place. It's so confusing. It's like if you just took, what was it, Geralt from The Witcher and all of his design and just slapped him in the middle of like a Lego area, and you're just like, yeah, this works.
Yeah, and and I was just like, how do you go from a guy from Roblox making Lethal Company, and then Xbox is like, that means they'll like anything Roblox? No. If they had announced Lethal Company for Xbox, I would have flipped.
That would have been great. We need to get back and play that more. It's been a while. We've been going for liberty, not for money, I guess.
We got to get chasing on that.
Oh, good point. If he'll play it, I'll buy it. He'll I don't know if he watches this, but I guess I'll have to live up to that now. Next up, we have the Sinking City 2. This was a title, the sequel to an Xbox One game. I've heard good things about it. I still want to see a little bit more about this one to play it, but people seemed pretty excited about it.
I think even the first one somehow made it to Switch too.
Really? I didn't know Sinking City made it over there.
It does have a good reputation. A lot of people are very picky about Lovecraftian horror, if only because it usually tends to be very personal. Like, say, in Call of Cthulhu role-playing games, they try to, the game master or whatever tries to fit the form of insanity to the player specifically. So what we might see as insanity might be specifically for that person in the game. It might not be as crazy to you, but it'd be crazy to them.
I would love to just see a group of psychologists and like just play that game with each other. That would, oh god, that would get dark so fast.
I think a good example would be Eternal Darkness. That's that kind of thing.
That's a good game. All right, so next we showed some more Final Fantasy 14. Of course, we said earlier this is coming out officially March 21st. I think the game looks really good. I mean, obviously it's been out for a while, and it should run well on a Series X and a Series S. But I'm just gonna pick it up digitally because someone was like, you should try it. If they come out with a physical copy, get it. And I was like, why? What's the point?
Don't forget, because they never mention this in big print on any of these ads. The game is like $30 a month to play.
Yeah, I think the boys told me it's like $15 is what they pay each. It's like $60 to get the game, and John told me to wait until they release the next big update, which is supposed to be coming here in the next month or so, because then if I buy that, I get all the previous updates included, and I can just kind of jump in and have all that and play with them. So
yeah, hey. And actually I misspoke. It's, if you try to buy physical Game Time, it's $30 only, because you have to buy it 2 months, 2 month increments.
Sense. Yeah.
But it's one of the last few other than World of Warcraft to charge monthly.
And I'm okay with that, because just like World of Warcraft, they are using that money to keep up the servers, make new content, and do stuff. It's not just general play, So we'll see from there. This next one was a bit of a surprise for me, and I want to see if we're going to get a physical release at some point, but I'm interested to play because these were originally PC only, and that is the Stalker Legends of the Zone trilogy. This includes Shadow of Chernobyl, Clear Sky, and Call of Pripyat. I don't know how to say that correctly. Sorry. Pripyat? Sure. They're being made for Xbox One, and you can play them on Xbox Series X and S via enhanced backwards compatibility. And it looks like somebody added it's also coming to PS4. Did not know that. Go ahead, Steven.
I'm going to be 1% political here.
Okay.
In the fact that I do want to give my heartfelt thanks out to the developers. They are based in Ukraine, and their offices were rocked with vibrations, stuff coming from the ceiling. So the fact that they got this game out is a triumph, I think, for them, because they said it's a passion project. So when I saw that it finally was coming out today, I was like, Godspeed for them. That's amazing. That's crunch time.
Yeah, I mean, I have to look and see if they were the ones that helped port these, because they're working on Stalker 2, which did get a release date finally. But yeah, they've been working on this stuff. They've had to deal with some of their team members dying because of the war, both in trying to defend their country to keep these people out of it, who should not be there, or, just with everything going on, trying to get where they can be safe and doing what they can. And once again, those that were complaining that the game is taking too long can just go to hell, because these people are literally working on this game in hell, dealing with this, and you can wait a little while. It's a game. Grow up. They want you to enjoy it. You will enjoy it eventually. Let them do this. This is not easy.
They are going to release, which is why I was like, hats off to them. They are releasing a next generation patch later this year. So,
cool.
Wow. So any pundits that are just like, I wish it ran blah, blah, blah or something, it's coming. But either way, like, they have that in mind, so they know, but they just wanted to get it out because, these are these are bona fide classics for a lot of people. So good to see them. Good to see them out now, so a lot more people can enjoy it.
Yeah, I never got to play these. I remember seeing them on PC, but I didn't have a computer that could play them at the time. So for me, this would be kind of a first time jumping into it. And someone, what was it? I think it was another Xbox podcast I was listening to. They were talking or complaining that, oh, well, you can get these games on Steam for like half the cost if you get these other ones. It's like, yeah, but not everyone wants to deal with that. People just want to get it on a console. It's like $30 for the entire set. You'll be fine. Like you can play it on there and it's done.
Held in the high regard like Half-Life in terms of their storytelling. So
yeah, so it's $30, people. That's still only a little bit per game.
$10 a game.
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah, you're good. So calm down. Next up, we had Monster Jam Showdown coming 2024 for basically everything. It's not my type of game, but it looked kind of fun. Like I would sit down and mess with this. Why not? Monster trucks smashing cars and flipping those things in a way that physics should not make sense, but somehow it does.
There's more Monster Jam games than there are versions of Persona games. Come on.
That game also didn't look like it was very current gen to me.
They probably don't have to. It's almost like sports games. You just update the who's in it and then just go to town. And
they accidentally shared the Switch footage. I know.
People have fun with it. So if this is your type of game and you enjoy it, no hate. Go have fun, flip your trucks, crush things. Go enjoy it. I'm not gonna
go truck yourself.
Go truck yourself. Yes.
Oh boy,
I like that. Good one. So this next one, I have a feeling Chris will be able to tell us more about. Possibly. I hope the Persona 3 Reload expansion pass.
Yes.
Yeah. Please explain.
It's basically the pseudo sequel to Persona 3 Reload and Persona 3 in general. It's kind of between a sequel and a side story. So if you do get it, obviously it's an expansion pass for Reload, so you would have to have the base game first. Don't play it until you finish the first game. That's basically what I would say about it.
Gotcha. Well, that's good to know.
It also looked far too done to have been a sudden DLC. And there's a lot of murmurings about that in the Sega Atlas Twitter space. There have been rumblings that Sega or whoever was at the top basically told them, we know that you finished the game and the DLC at the same time, and you want it out to be a complete version, but hold on to it and let's see if the game succeeds. Then put it out. This is all hearsay, of course. We don't know for certain.
Because the developer, all he said was he didn't release it with the game because of circumstances. And that's all he said in quotations is because of circumstances. So everyone was wondering if it was like, do you pan the camera to the right and Sega's just like, no, we'll call a Persona for you if you don't.
Well,
to be fair,
go ahead.
To be fair, there was a lot of outcry because people really wanted to see the answer. So that might have been a way of drumming up hype, for better or for worse. So at least we got it.
We're still missing one part.
We're not getting Portable. We're not getting the female main character. That is not happening.
Yeah,
but at least we're getting the answer.
From Sega and Atlas, I mean, as Rachel would say, it's basically just
corporate greed.
We're going to get her in here even if she's not in the show this week. Next up, we had the first Berserker, Kazan. This is apparently based on the DNF or Dungeons and Fighter universe. It looked really Dark Souls-y to me. I'm not familiar with the series or even that universe. A lot of hack and slash, a lot of really crazy creature designs and things like that.
Originally, it was basically what you would call an MMO online Streets of Rage. Essentially hand-drawn 2D characters in a side-to-side plane, all beating up monsters and stuff. It was a really cool idea, and it lasted for quite some time.
Interesting. I've never heard of that one. Following that up, we had Tales of Kenzera Zhao coming April 23rd, 2024. And I know this is probably coincidental, and I feel so bad about it, but every bit of footage I saw from this just screamed, crap, you guys probably should have released it sooner. We have Prince of Persia, and it looks exactly like it.
Yeah, it's far too similar, which is
I thought it was Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia came out first. So I think if Zhao came out first, it probably would have done better. But
so is this going to be better, or is this going to be Prince of Persia at home?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, because the more I watched it, like the mechanics, the way they were moving around doing stuff, I'm like, oh, I just unlocked that. Oh no, I have this. No, that's a boss fight. Like I'm doing. Oh boy.
I thought the character models looked way too small. Way too small.
I want to try it because if it is anything like Prince of Persia, that's awesome because that game was phenomenal. I'm still enjoying it to this day. So here's to hoping.
I could tell, they focused more on combat and the two different combat styles of Sun and Moon. I don't know if that's going to make it differentiate from Prince of Persia enough, because you don't, with Prince of Persia, you've got more of the time mechanic and all that stuff, but we will see.
You can jump around for some of that stuff. I do, because the Sun and Moon felt kind of like the difference between using the bow and arrow and then some of the melee combat and stuff in Prince of Persia. But I like the fact you have to switch between them, it seems. So you're right. I'm hoping those mechanics kind of differentiate it. But visually, bad timing for everyone around. Like, not good. So we'll have to see.
I'll try them both, but we will see.
Yeah, April 23rd we find out. So hopefully it works out well. Next up, they showed Frostpunk 2 coming July 2024. Didn't really have much on this. It's there.
Yay.
Yeah, yay. Enjoy it if you can. And then lastly, from Capcom, we had Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess coming 2024, which I thought was a Monster Hunter for a moment.
It's like a hardcore Pikmin.
Yeah, it's basically you're setting up a tower defense, it seems like, and then you're running strategy as you're running around defending your area. I'm kind of down to try that. That seems, especially if you get the fighting mechanics of Monster Hunter in there, this could be fun. So,
and Capcom, if you're listening and everybody's saying the same thing, there's a growing amount of people that said in this universe, if you do not give us Amaterasu, however I butchered that name, the dog Amaterasu is not in the game when there's dogs in that game. Sure, bless you. If that dog is not a DLC or something in this game, it is, what's wrong with you? Like, as Reggie Fils-Aimé would say, what's wrong with you? Like, he needs to be in this game. Come on.
Yeah, the game looks far too Okami to not be Okami. So, yes.
All Okami fans, come at me. I just butchered everything you love about it. I butchered the name, butchered the gender. I'm a horrible person. Come at me.
Capcom butchered the series. Like, we haven't got anything from it, so.
Well, that's Clover's fault.
I still have my Okami cover that has the IGN on the background.
I do too, actually. Got that one, the PS2 version, the re-release. Yeah, the puppy version for the DS. Yeah, interesting one. So that was the Xbox partner preview. We'll just real quick round robin, yay or nay on this one. Steven? For like
on the whole thing as a whole?
Yeah.
D.
Okay. Chris?
Probably the same. I mean, they got me with a couple of games, but one I knew was going to happen eventually, and the other one I'm only interested in because I like the author, but we will see.
All right. I'd probably go with a C on average for this one just because of the Stalker games look phenomenal. I want to try those. Sleight of Hand I'm at least interested in, if not confused. The Altars alone probably earns that for me just because I want to play that. So, yeah, kind of go from there. So it was a showing.
Yeah, it would have been a C, but then they showed Roblox.
Oh boy.
I get that. All right, moving on to a fun subject that's not going to be controversial to people at all. Hey, do you like emulating Switch games? Do you have $2.4 million? Then you're YuZu. Well, actually, no, you're not, because YuZu developers Tropic Haze LLC has agreed to pay Nintendo that $2.4 million in a settlement in regards to damages around their activities involving emulation of the Nintendo Switch. So, as much as everybody kept talking about YuZu was slam dunk, they had everything in this case. They could do it within, 3 days? They caved and just went ahead and settled. part of this deal includes all of their emulation work in regards to Nintendo has to stop. That has to be ended, destroyed, all their files, documents, everything like that. Any of their tools they made have to be handed over to Nintendo, be it physical or software. Their website has already been signed over to Nintendo, and they now own the rights to the title, all the stuff that was on it. Their Discord is going to be shut down. This also did lead to the Citra 3DS emulator closing as well, because yes, the Citra 3DS emulator is a good source for people being able to emulate the 3DS and play it, as it's a system that is becoming harder to get a hold of, is no longer published for, a lot of what emulation is good for, but all of, the good of that is kind of balanced out and sadly this point affected by everything they did in regards to the Switch. So it's kind of a victim of their own thing.
Hubris.
Yeah, victim of their own hubris is a good way of putting it. So this is not just something people were trying to give YuZu sainthood. It seems like they're just the saviors of humanity. They're fighting for preservation. They're not doing anything illegal. Nintendo's just being evil. Except they had all this evidence and had to finally admit that, yeah, they were copying games before they were released. They were sharing them around between them. They were telling people how to do this. They had a paywall up for a lot of their stuff, making almost 40 grand a month from doing that. And just dipping into this. And Nintendo was in their Discord. They had people in there pretty much watching everything happen, just sitting there going, no, y'all keep breaking laws. We're just gonna watch this and make some notes. And I love this. Benet, one of the YuZu creators, he came out later, sent a message to their Discord about the settlement, and included a paragraph that I want to read off that I love, because they're trying to explain why they settled. That they're doing good. They didn't want to hurt anyone, and they don't believe in piracy. YuZu and its team have always been against piracy. We started the projects in good faith, out of passion for Nintendo and its consoles and games, and we're not intending to cause harm. But we see now that because our projects can circumvent Nintendo's technological protection measures and allow users to play games outside of authorized hardware, they have led to extensive piracy. And this is the part I love. In particular, we have been deeply disappointed when users have used our software to leak game content prior to its release and ruin the experience for legitimate purchasers and fans. So, what are y'all's thoughts on this? Steven, I know you've got some things you want to say.
As in the last episode, I fucking called it. YuZu probably saw, hey, Greg Bowser for Team Executor, he had to pay within $10 to $14 million, and they are now taking between 25 and 30% of his monthly income. Not a good life. So they took the easy way out. So props to at least that. But to try to give that, we were always in your corner, while, like you said, they were just collecting paychecks from Patreon. It's like, come on. It's like, just stop the act already. And I have a Steam Deck. Mm-hmm. I emulate as well, but I'm not in these forums waiting for somebody to be like, we cracked the code. It's more stuff that just doesn't exist anymore. It's not something that's about to come out. It's stuff that's arcade machines that you can't even fathom getting.
Yeah. Or like me wanting to play Snatcher with you. That's, hundreds of dollars to get the game legitimately,
And those are just, it's basically like an outlier. And for the techies out there, I'm sorry, but it's just a program. I launch it. If my folder has games in it, I play it. That's it. This one had so many caveats and other things you needed. You could tell you were just like, am I supposed to be doing this? Because it feels wrong. But, oh well, at least I can play this game on my PC now. So, it was only a matter of time. But again, I knew Nintendo was just like, as soon as we have everything we need, we're going to have a stack of papers this high saying this is why we're right. And then YuZu and Bunny is going to have a loose leaf piece of paper saying, emulation is legal written on it in crayon and be like, isn't this enough? And it's like, no, that's not what you did. So, it's sad to see you go. And it's also sad to see that these people are trying to make copycats, and they're saying we need developers because we have no idea what we're doing. We just wanted the clout saying we're making copycats of it. So it's like, give it up, guys. And I hate to say this, but wait till Switch 2 and see if you can crack that, because I'm sure that's going to be the new challenge.
Well, I'm wondering if part of this was also because if they did include backwards compatibility in the Switch 2, if they just let them run rampant the way they're doing this and trying to break into things, would that affect the sales of that? And we'd have another PSP
would it be a backdoor to the Switch 2 hacking?
Yeah. Well, that's what killed the PSP, was the fact that everyone's like, well, why buy games? We can just, we'll just hack the system and just copy them on there. It'll be fine.
Look what happened to the Dreamcast.
Yeah. God, I love the Dreamcast. Chris, you have any thoughts on this one?
No, they flew too close to the sun. They should have stuck with Citra. Citra was great. You don't really have any way of playing the 3DS right now. I would love to see 3DS on Switch, by the way. But emulation for the sake of preservation has no point if the games are already available or haven't even come out yet. So yes, YuZu, basically that last letter was corporate speak. They have to say things like that. It's basically PR going, oh, I swear, that fire wasn't started by us. We just left the gasoline tank over there. It's just, they're washing their hands of it because they have to in terms of a public image, especially if they try to do something in the future. But there's no erasing the fact that they allowed this kind of thing to happen.
Yeah. And some of the, I love some of the conspiracy theories are like, oh, this whole letter from the YuZu team, that's just like Nintendo had a gun to their head and that's why they wrote it. No, their own lawyers do their job as lawyers going, okay, here's what you're going to say so you don't mess up even more. You idiots who are already out $2.4 million, say this and don't be dumb. And, people are arguing, oh, well, no one should ever report about, emulators. That's how they find out about them. That's not going to affect it. If it gets out there, people have to find out about it somehow. Nintendo or any of these other companies are watching this stuff. They don't just sit there and act like, oh, I don't know what's going on. They're aware. Go ahead, Stephen.
But just to echo what you just said there, it begs to say, like, if you're doing something wrong, don't be like, look what I stole. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're asking for however long you wanted this to last, you're asking for it to be shortened. And I'm not saying it's a right or wrong thing, but just don't tout something if you're enjoying it unless it's something that's readily available and legal.
YuZu should have come out after the Switch 2's life cycle.
After Switch 2?
After the Switch 2's life cycle, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of goes back and forth on that because, like, you've got PS4 emulators that are starting to work more and coming out, even though the PS5 can play them, but some of those games are becoming harder to get, but they're still available for a lot of the cases. So it's still kind of a lukewarm.
They're not perfect. There's a list of games that will not work regardless of the emulator, and they're very clandestine. You don't have things like YuZu is basically saying, hey, check us out. We're on the Steam Deck. It's portable. You can play Switch games on the not Switch.
Yeah, they were caught spreading Tears of the Kingdom around before its release between their own members in there. Nintendo's looking at it going, y'all did what now? No.
It's that meme. It's that meme where the guy's in the corner of the party and like, they don't know I'm from Nintendo.
That's great.
Or it could be the other way around with like, they don't know I'm pirating Switch games. And the rest of the thing is like, we all know he's pirating Switch games.
What a twist.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. So his statement, though, the way I describe this, because they're talking about like, we did a love for Nintendo. That's why we did this. That's why we're so disappointed they did it. I was like, all right, let's change that. Let's say YuZu has a love and respect for banks. So they're going to draw up the whole layout of a bank. They're going to tell you how to crack into the safe. They're going to tell you which teller to stick up, how to get past the security guards and break the alarm. They're going to give this all to their people on their Discord. Oh, but we're very disappointed you guys took all this information and robbed the bank. We respected and loved the bank. That's why we did all this. Also, pay us our Patreon and we'll give you the designs for the new bank they're building down the street before it opens. You put it in that context, it kind of makes sense. Hey, yeah, you are kind of responsible for this. If you're telling people how to do it, you are thus involved with it. You may not have done it yourself, but you're still planning it. Kind of how that falls. So, yeah, them settling, people are arguing this. They took the bullet for emulation. No, they took the bullet to not take the bigger howitzer shell coming at them from Nintendo that could have hit them way worse. So,
yeah, it's one of those things, and I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat for a second, and I would be shocked that because of this payout, and unlike Gary Bowser getting jail time, because they didn't really go into too much detail here, because usually that's public knowledge. A old part of me thinks that they could be using his expertise to develop countermeasures for Switch 2. And like I said, this is all a guess, and it's only because it's not really emulation, but let's not forget the story of AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, where eventually Nintendo didn't go after that game in the beginning. They didn't go after that game in the middle. They went after that game when it was finished.
They gave the guy 24-hour window.
They went after it when everybody could play it because it was finished and had its bug fixes, and people could Nintendo could then see, even though they were going to take it down, they're like, do people still like Metroid? Oh yes, they do. So in a way, both sides won. On Nintendo's side, they made Metroid Dread. We got a new Metroid, incredible game, because they knew there was a renewed interest for Metroid. And on the other side, the guy who was on the AM2R team, Milton Glasty, if I'm saying his name right, he went on to help develop Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So I call that a win. You're working for a company that's, made an incredible IP now. So, there's good to come of this. It's just like, don't just take it at face value all the time. It's not healthy.
Yeah. And in regards to AM2R, there's a few things with that, because they were actually making a Metroid 2 remake that came out for 3DS. So we had that, which also included my favorite version of my new 3DS XL, which is that really beautifully sexy Metroid version. But Nintendo, like I said, they knew about the development. They knew it was going on, and they didn't stop it before it came out, which they could have easily done. They gave pretty much 24 hours. Like, it launched, they said nothing, and then gave the cease and desist after that time, full well having to know it's out there. I have a copy of it. I know other people have a copy of it. It didn't just go away. They were just like, all right, cool. We let you put it out. Now we have to shut it down. Legally covers us. We'll move on with it, but your work got to go out there. And then, yeah, he could probably use that as like, here's what I did. And he got his other job, which the Ori series are fantastic. And I'm glad that's where he's continuing. So it can be handled well. Not everything has to be some big conspiratorial thing. Yes, Nintendo is a big company, but they have just as much right to protect their stuff as you as a creator does. I've had people mention for stuff like, what was it? Like our podcast. The first 53 episodes of this run are no longer on the internet. I took them down. Somebody argued that I shouldn't have been able to do that because it's not fair. People should be able to download those and listen to them. You can't just take it away. And I was like, well, they're my episodes. I have decided I do not wish for those to be out there anymore. Thus, I took them down. I'm not breaking anyone's rights for that. But just as much as you feel you have the right to listen to it, I have the right to say, no, I don't want those out there. And it's just kind of a weird back and forth for that. Like, the rights have to go both ways. You can't just say it's one way and not the other. So, yeah. So speaking of that, let's jump into our last story before the big question this week. So, we're going to have a little hate fest on Warner Brothers right now. Let's just get that out of our system. Warner Brothers has decided amongst their... Say what?
Still a hate fest?
Yeah. Warner Brothers has decided to delist and remove all games published under Adult Swim, which includes over 60 different titles on Steam. A few notable titles that I looked at were Headlander from Double Fine Productions, Duck Game, which is probably one of the best party games ever made, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, Rick and Morty Virtual Reality, which is surprising because that one still sells well, and then Small Radio Big Televisions. This is one I was not familiar with, but as kind of a big FU to Warner Brothers, they are giving it away for free on their website as a download right now. So if you go look it up, you can get the game and at least have it out there. He will no longer be able to make money off of it, but they didn't want the game to just die. There was other publishers that were asking like, hey, we're begging to be able to get the license back so we can publish these games on our own. Warner Brothers came back and said, well, because we can't reach everyone or we can't do that for all of them, we will do that for none of them. And basically, we're not doing anything for you. And Warner Brothers has just done some of the dumbest marketing and media handling deals in a while. On top of this, of course, Coyote versus Acme was canned, even though it was shopped around. People were saying that the few people that got to watch it, that it was absolutely phenomenal. They were getting offers of money from other companies, but obviously that was just to say, well, we tried. Nobody gave us this billions of dollars. We were offered the money for it, and we said, no, we'll just have to get rid of it now and delete it. I hope it gets stolen. Yeah, they keep doing this stuff. And then the fact that they're doubling down on their live service games after Suicide Squad, stating that they're just going to give that another go, even though it has been one of the biggest bombs they've had. So Warner Brothers just has no idea what they're doing, I think. Who wants to talk about this one? Who's up? Chris, anything on that one? Because I know how the controlling of art and so forth, and yeah.
Well, we'll have to see. A lot of these games are available on other consoles, and that's something.
Yes.
Plus, a lot of these old Adult Swim games were only available as Flash games or otherwise. So there's a lot more under the Adult Swim license that has already disappeared to history.
Right.
And that's because Flash died. The Steam stuff is going to be, hopefully people have already downloaded it and they're going to keep it somewhere. But it's very strange what Warner Brothers is doing. All of this, it's tanking their reputation. And I honestly wonder what they plan on doing to save it. Because the DC cinematic universe has flopped. A lot of their games were live service and are considered at best. Multiverses had a thing going where everybody thought they'd be coming back, but it's a Happy Meal thing. But
no, it's coming back Monday at 8 a.m.
Is it actually? Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's something. And then,
yeah, it was still handled very badly.
It's a very weird time for that kind of thing. And honestly, I hope everybody that sunk so much money into the beta are still getting things that they paid for, because right now it's very up in the air.
Yeah,
I'm going to be keeping track of that because I know a lot of people who like multiverses.
I think they'll keep it because it made you sign into your WB account. So I think it'll have you keep it.
That's something. But yeah,
they'll take it away if they get a tax break somehow.
Well, that's the thing. They made a lot of crazy decisions. We'll have to see what happens. If this keeps up, that's all, folks. So,
damn it, Chris. Well played. All right, Steven, what about you?
So, yeah, it's confusing because a lot of games get delisted on Steam, but then that's only, as far as I know to my knowledge, a lot of these games, unless they specify, have always been on Steam. And I don't know if it's just because it's the biggest target, but like I can play Samurai Jack, I can play Duck Game on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
No problems there. I'm one of the, what do you call it? The critic GIF for the other weird people out there.
It's only GIF. GIF is the only right answer.
Nothing of value was lost because other than Duck Game, I'll give it to Duck Game. Everything else, I was like, it's all right.
Well, like Headlander, I really wanted to play that one. It never came out on any of the consoles. It was only on Steam. So once this goes away, that's it. There was no physical copy for it. So I'm going to probably end up trying to buy it just to at least have it, because I do love a lot of the stuff that Double Fine does, and this thing got rave reviews, and I was waiting for it to come out on an Xbox or something else. But if they're getting rid of the license for it, even though Double Fine created it and Microsoft now owns Double Fine, they can't just put it out without Warner Brothers permission. Duck Game, yeah, I have that one on Switch. Thankfully, it's there, but I know that's probably one of the best party games ever made. Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, I also have on Switch. I got the collector's edition of that, but that was a fun hack and slash style platformer game. Like, it shouldn't just go away.
This is a reminder to everyone, even if it costs more money.
Yep.
If you love it, buy it physically, because you don't know when these things will happen. If you have Transformers games, you can still play them right now on your systems.
Can't play them very backwards compatible, but I can still put it on my 360 and play it, and I have.
You want the good music in your Grand Theft Auto? You can play the PS2 version still.
Yeah. Rick and Morty, I have that one on PS4 as a disc, so it's still playable there. Like, a lot of these games are not going away, but a lot of them are. And I understand what you said earlier, Chris, about the Flash stuff kind of going away, because they were intended to be web-based and so forth. And there's certain ways to preserve those, but this just kind of just wipes them out from the one place they are.
The hidden thing that sucks is it kind of erases some people's resumes. It erases some people's legacies. It erases people's ability to show off their talents to their family. It reminds me of a quote from one of the creators who their animated series, if Chris remembers, he can chime in, but his series that he worked on was just mysteriously disappeared from I think it was Max at the time, or was it still...
you might be talking about Infinity Train, and that was HBO Max. There
were
a lot of really
so when that happened on Max, and they were getting rid of all their animated content, their original stuff,
that was the start of this whole mess.
I can't show my kids, other than what I have at my desk, I can't show my kids what I've been working on. I can't show them a finished product because there is no physical. It's just gone, and I hope they would allow a physical to come out, because I have nothing to show for my work now. I can't show my family. I only have my proof of concepts for my resume, and he says it sucks that they're allowed to just erase my history. So
yeah, Infinity Train specifically, I only have it because a friend of mine had a download and shared it with me, because it's no longer available. I couldn't watch it. There was a couple shows when that happened, and that was the first huge step for Warner Brothers, when they were just kind of decimating everything. Because shortly after that, it was around the same time they canceled the Batwoman movie that was coming out, that was, almost done, and kind of going from there. And at this point, like, how can anyone work with them?
It was done. They finished it on Brendan Fraser's birthday.
Oh man. And then canceled it.
And we've talked about this before. Companies are worried about piracy. If you're going to just destroy someone's livelihood season by season, or just take something away that with no prior warning, why do you think people pirate now? It's going to encourage this sort of thing.
And it kind of goes back and forth. Like, we're hoping, Coyote versus Acme does get out somehow. And the only way it will is if somebody steals it or pirates it. Someone's probably going to end up going to jail for it. But if it gets out there, once it's out, it's out. And I'm sure that'll make the rounds at conventions and all kinds of places where people are. It's like the Fantastic Four movie from way back then, like the 90s.
It's like when nobody wanted to. It's like when nobody wanted to. What do you call it? Nobody wanted to greenlight Deadpool, so it leaked, and then he later admitted to
it. No, he still says somebody
admitted to it in the most roundabout way.
Yeah, he's like, it could have been me or this guy or that guy. We don't know.
Yeah, so now we're getting a third one this July from Disney.
Yeah.
So come on, guys, like, stop with the tax breaks. You guys don't even need the tax breaks.
Maybe they do at this point.
I mean, like, I'm surprised any actors or any directors want to work with them anymore, because what's the point? You don't know if your movie or show is going to just disappear or even see the light of day. You could spend years working on something just for it to go poof and go away. And like, do they make any money? Like, what if they had, signed up for it and they were like, all right, well, I'm going to get this small amount of pay, and then
royalties.
Yeah, I'll get a bunch of money on the royalties or how that turns out, and then there's nothing because they've just killed it off. Can you imagine this? This
It
could have
makes you
happened so
wonder
many
sometimes
times.
if that's even a breach of contract if they forget to put that in their contract clause or something, saying if we decide to delete the movie for a tax break, that we'll owe you like reparations in some effect because all of your work has now
I
and
bet
half
it's
of your
going to start
contract
showing up
is
in
null and
contracts.
void. So and that's what happened. That's why they got to the point where they were shopping around the Coyote versus Acme. It's because all the directors and actors came forward and were like, we're not going to work with your studio anymore because we know you have this part where you're not seeing things to completion, even when it tests well, it reviews well,
In
and
this
it's
case,
going to
it
be a
was
hit.
done.
And then the person who gets
finished.
rid of it says, "Oh, I didn't even see it."
Yeah, I mean, it was almost heartbreaking. Will Arnett came out and was talking about he got to watch it, and like it was absolutely phenomenal. They laughed, they loved how the story was, and they wish the other people that worked on it couldn't even get to see it. Like he got lucky enough to be able to see it, and he's like, this should not go away. And he was like, he agreed. Okay, they bought it, it's their movie, they can do what they want, but they're assholes for it. Like they should not do that. Yeah, you bought this house, it's yours. You could burn it to the ground, but why? Like, why would you?
It's a weird situation all around.
Yeah, and I feel really bad. Like they're trying to build up the DCU as their new one. How many people are going to be hesitant to even work on that because, oh cool, we're working on Superman. Are they going to cancel it? Like I'm honestly worried for like the next Beetlejuice. What if they just change their mind and they've already canceled a Keaton movie once with Batgirl and some of the other stuff.
Maybe there's going to be new contracts this kind around. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's Warner Brothers just kind of digging their own grave. If they need tax breaks to make up for the money they're losing, they are going about it in the worst way that's costing them more money. And one little bit of news I didn't put in here, but we are seeing, I don't know if this is because of the Sony and Disney deal, but there's been a whole flood of movies from Disney Plus that are coming out physically. We're getting Blu-rays and 4Ks for WandaVision, for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, for Obi-Wan, for Andor. Yeah, I need to watch that one. I keep forgetting to go back. Pretty much all these Disney Plus series that were just disappearing, could disappear, are getting releases. I've already picked up the first 2 seasons. I only got the Blu-rays. I couldn't find the 4K, but I got the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. So I have them and I enjoy them and I can watch them. But I'm glad to see more of these coming out because we need that. If they do change their mind, this is the only way they're going to be around. So who knows? Maybe the Sony deal we were worried about is paying off. I'm cool with being wrong. I'm okay with that.
I told you they love to overprint things, so keep it coming.
That's fine. I'll buy them and we'll play them and watch them. All right, so let's jump into the big question. All right, so right around our last show, it was the 7th anniversary for the Nintendo Switch. Hard to believe it's been that long, but with the Nintendo Switch crossing its 7th anniversary and surprisingly boldly going into its 8th year with still fairly impressive lineup on the way, what have been some of your favorite Switch releases and memories for the little system that could? Chris, let's start with you.
For me, honestly, the Switch represents that one console that you always wished could exist. The one that could play Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, arcade, Sega CD, whatever. The one thing in the palm of your hand that was actually legal. And while it doesn't play everything, Nintendo still has to approve it. There are things like SNK arcade classics like Last Blade 2 that I absolutely adore having on a portable system. I get to play so many Wii games and Wii U games that I didn't want to buy a whole console to play at the time, like Super Mario World, Super Mario World 3D rather, and Skyward Sword and all that fun stuff. It's not even the new Switch games that got me to love the Switch. It's all the games that I did not have access to before. So that's what I like.
Okay. Did you have any good memories of like with the system itself other than just the games or?
Well, I mean, just the fact that I could play something like Persona 5 on a handheld system, You know, there's that weird feeling of, I never thought I'd be able to just pick this up and play it portable with this specific game. And that's a really cool feeling when technology makes it to that point where you're playing a game at home and thinking, man, it's never going to get better than this. And then you pick up the Switch and go, well, it has gotten better. How about that?
All right. Steven, what about you?
So I'm going to omit one of mine, even though we already talked about it, and that was Duck Game, so I don't need to go into specifics on that. But some of my stuff's new, but the hardware itself I have good memories of. But the games in particular, extremely biased, I know, is Pocket Card Jockey Ride On. I waited for that game to come to Switch because I was like, every game that comes out for Apple Arcade, except for the new Sonic, will come to Switch. And I was right. So I was like, awesome, 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 awesome. Because it's a Game Freak game that needs more love. Backpack Hero, I've seen now copycats come out and it's not the same. Backpack Hero combines, I don't know, my item management with my love of Soul Blazer, where the more you fight monsters and stuff, the more your town improves. It's just awesome. Right. However, there's always something Nintendo does on their systems that nobody does or has thought of, so they all look like idiots. So I can tell you that the little things like just with Breath of the Wild being able to climb and hang glide is then you'd try to play a game like Horizon Forbidden West, the first one, and you can't do any of that. Or, and I'm seeing it from some fans too, or people playing Final Fantasy Rebirth right now are saying the worlds are beautiful, but they're so empty, and you don't feel like everything's alive like you do in Tears of the Kingdom. So it's that kind of attention to detail that Switch releases have done, which is always nice. But going back to the hardware, when I found out that even after the game is gone and dried up and delisted for all we care, the fact that Christian can come downstairs and say, oh, I have version 1, you have version 2, and I can say, no problem, using local, I can update your game. I was like, that is awesome, because that used to be a huge problem when you would play even on your big consoles, like, oh, I can't play Tekken with you because I don't have that character, so the game says it needs to download another update just to be able to see that character on your screen. So having that localness was really nice, and just the surprising part of Nintendo Switch Online that, and when everybody says it's just an emulation machine, I was like, no, it's not. I watched a speed run with 2 people in different states play Gunstar Heroes, which, if you know Switch Online, you know that stuff's like 2 tin cans and a string. For that to not have any like freezes or lag, and they played through because Nintendo Switch's Online biggest pull was all these games are playable with your friends. Like, you can finally play all these N64 games that were up to 4 players, but now you can play them online. You can enjoy them in a whole different light because all your friends have moved away, had 16 babies, 4 cats, and a guinea pig. You can still play with them on their time off. It's great. So it's just little things like that. I was like, you don't see that with anybody else offering old content like that can't usually be played online. So it was just little touches like that. So the first thing I'm going to do when I get the Switch 2 is I'm going to explore the heck out of all the different things the system can do, because the fact that even the Switch did the different sound effects when you pressed an analog stick versus a button to unlock it. Through that little whistle it gave you whenever you looked at your friends list. Yeah, it didn't have my Wii Shop channel music that was a pure bop, as people would say on TikTok, but it was still like a blast just exploring the system with no game in it yet, because you're like, what else can this thing do? Wish it had folders, but it's got folders now. Switch 2 better have themes. I will love you, Switch 2, if you have themes. I want a background on my Switch 2, for God's sake.
I'd be happy with different colors. Well, you have black and white. Like, I just want to make it green. That'd be great. Just give me that.
With all the systems you release, I just want the background to match my controllers.
Yeah, you should
just get that it knows which color controller you hook up to it is crazy.
That is pretty cool.
That is neat, yeah.
And last thing, because I just remembered it, the fact that every controller you've paired with it, that you can go to the settings and you can enable the controller finder, and it makes your controller vibrate on the highest setting.
Yep.
So you're like, where did I put that Joy-Con? You can always find it. It's awesome.
And I've had to use that a few times. The kids would lose them. So yeah. All right. So the Nintendo Switch was a huge part of our house in regards to like multiplayer, people coming over and doing stuff or going and playing it wirelessly. But like a lot of it is the Nintendo official release games, like Nintendo Super Smash Brothers Ultimate has been just a staple in this household. Of course, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom specifically becoming my favorite 3D Zelda of all time now. It's, obviously not my favorite 2D. That's a different category. But for 3D, like Tears of the Kingdom has just beaten everything now. Super Mario Odyssey still shocks me at how good that game looks and how it runs and just exploring. I still find where you can become a damn T-Rex, a realistic looking T-Rex running around an island. Like that's madness. You could also become a block of meat. Like what the hell? And then I remember one of the earlier ones that really got me was Skyrim, which, Skyrim's been on everything. There's literally probably a refrigerator that can play it. I think your Alexa will talk to you and play Skyrim. But I remember it was one of the first big, like little nuanced parts of HD Rumble, which I still think does not get used as much as it should. Or it does get used some, but not really talked about. But if you've ever played it with just Joy-Cons and you try and pick a lock, you can feel every tumble as you're sitting there turning your controller, and you can feel like even on the hardest locks, I'm playing it on easy, just going through and going click, 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 junk, like, oh, there's the lock. Okay, it's activate that. I was going through master locks in the beginning because you could feel the locks and it was that sensitive to it. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like that completely, I became such a thief in that game, that run. Like when I played it on the Switch, I stole everything. But yeah, speaking of, and I guess I forgot to mention it, but Stephen, when you brought up about the updates where you can share that, I remember that being a problem on 3DS. Would be like, hey, let's play Monster Hunter. Oh, well, you're on this version. I'm on this one. We have to find Wi-Fi so we can play it. We can't do local. Well, we had Hurricane Michael here, which knocked out the internet for a while. And we had gotten a hold of the new Switch. It was the Smash Brothers release at the time. So I'd gotten a hold of it. Could not, like, we wanted to play stuff. I could install it locally, but in order for us to play, because, we were still trying to deal with no internet and everything else going on. So the Switch was our only system we could play because we could charge it off of the generator or solar panel. We would take the kids' Switch because they had updated before all this or had certain stuff, and we could just share it over. And that's how we got to play stuff together. We had to do it for Smash Brothers. We had to do it for Mario Kart, all these other things. So that was an actual functional thing. But I remember the very first night the system launched. We got it. I got home. I was exploring it, running around Breath of the Wild, playing snipper clips, just going crazy, going like, this thing's amazing. And it's after midnight. My wife works nights at the hospital, and she was like, let's go get something to eat. Let's just go to Waffle House. And my first thought was, all right, I'll turn this off and we can go. And I went, wait. Oh, I can pick it up. And I just picked it up and we went. And I remember sitting at Waffle House. I had this Switch sitting on the table with the Joy-Cons, and people kept coming over going like, what is that? Like they'd never seen that before. And we were sitting there talking about, oh, it's the Switch. You can play these things and do this stuff. And it was such a novel idea 7 years ago. And yeah, it's just a hell of a system. And I'm looking forward to the Switch 2, hoping that can be a continuation of this. Go ahead, Stephen.
I said I also wanted to remind everybody that I love the fact that whenever you have a blackout in your house, the Switch is the first thing to be like, you can play me if you want, because it lights up.
Yeah, it immediately goes to the screen, just going, oh, yeah. My dock doesn't work? All right, I'm here. So, all right, I think that's a pretty good love fest all around for the Nintendo Switch. Looking forward, we've talked about this before, we're looking forward to the Switch 2, hoping for backwards compatibility with some new features. I still argue it does not have to be the most powerful thing in the world. I know there's just all these arguments and discussions about games shouldn't be 30 FPS, or they should be 4K, or they should be this or that. How many older games have people come and enjoyed on the Switch that are not modern titles. You know, how many people have played the old Star Wars games that got brought over? I'm excited to play the freaking Star Wars Battlefront coming over, and that was a PS2 game. You know, PS2 and original Xbox. I've played through I've got the largest part of my game collection now is the Switch, because so many games that I missed out on or were never available on consoles or not portable. I played more Witcher 3 on my Switch. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are on the Switch. If you're enjoying Baldur's Gate 3, you can go play the originals on there. There's a bunch of point and click games that got brought over. I just ordered physical copies of what was it? What was the detective one? I just blanked on the name. But I got like 2 sets of the Phoenix Wright games. Ghost Trick, that's what I'm thinking of. I've got that one coming. You know, there's just, I could go on and on. Like, it's a wall of red over here. So I'm hoping for more, and so hoping God that stuff better be backwards compatible, because that's a lot of games I'd like to re-explore. So, all right, so let's go ahead and wrap up this lovely episode. As usual, if you would like to find us, you can see where we're at online over at Zenspath.com over in the contact section. That lists all of the ways to reach us, except for Chris. Chris is just a mystery of the universe that we all try to understand, trapped in his little blocks of sound.
It's a TARDIS. Bigger on the outside.
It's a reverse TARDIS. If you'd like to talk to us directly for the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at Zenspath Podcast. You can also find all of our information below the video if you're watching us on YouTube at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. If you're watching it, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, share this with somebody, leave us a comment. These things help us grow, and we want to increase this and see if we can finally cross 200 subscribers, and we'll grow from that point from there. If you're watching this and you'd like to be able to listen to it, like while you're working out or going to work or whatever you're doing, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. You can download and listen to us there. So yeah, this has been episode 121 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Bye, physical.
Rest in peace, Toriyama.